Good evening. This is John Warren, publisher of the San Diego Voice and Viewpoint, bringing you our program from the desk of the editor. We always like to remind you that the Voice and Viewpoint is San Diego's oldest and only African-American publication, covering 89 zip codes, 17 cities, 39 communities, and all the unincorporated areas of San Diego County. We are available online. You may download our app in the Google or Apple Store. You may pull up the paper weekly online at no cost, or you may purchase copies of it at retail outlets such as 7-Eleven or single copy sales in newsstands. We also provide a number of papers every week to the churches in our community and our seniors. And so we believe very strongly in the slogan that we have, that the people without a voice cannot be heard. And so we're working now, going into our 65th year, at being a voice of the community. I'm joined from our paper this evening with our very able and talented managing editor, Ms. LaTanya West, and we are here with Dr. Leonard Thompson III, our radio host. And so we have two wonderful guests from the community, from the Emerald Hills community. And we're going to get to them in a moment, but I always like to start off by giving an opportunity to Dr. Thompson and Ms. West to say a word, and then we're going to dive into what is going to be a very interesting program.
Ms. West, you go first.
Oh, good. I was about to say good morning. Good evening, everyone. So much has happened today. Really looking forward to the show today. Really happy and excited to hear from our guests today. Some interesting and important things going on in the city that all of you need to know about, we believe, and just really looking forward to the conversation.
And I think you should let them know, Ms. West, that this story not only are we discussing tonight, it has been put online, and
Yes.
tell them about our front page
Yes,
in the morning.
it's on our front page that will be on newsstands tomorrow and also online. We have a video going out this evening to give you a recap of that, of the topic as well, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, good
Okay.
stuff.
All right.
Well, good evening, everyone. So happy to have everyone in today. To our guests, very, very excited. You know, I feel like I have legends up here. So, Dr. Warren, you know, you're always the legend, but there are people that are doing some amazing things that I think that we cover from time to time, and I think today is going to be a very exciting day. Please remind everybody that you can call in if you have any questions at 858-251-6111, 858-251-6111, and we're going to get right into it. So I'm going to pitch it right back to you, Dr. Warren.
Well, we also want people to know that they can reach us at gogradio1.com. They can not only call, but they can submit a question or comment. We certainly will put it on the air, and we'll go from there. Tonight we want to talk about a very serious issue, and it involves the Emerald Hills Planning Group, the San Diego City Council. And what is happening is today the City Council considered two development issues. One was in Emerald Hills, and the other was more, I guess, well, both of them in terms of Encanto. And so what's happened is, as you know, everyone is talking about the housing shortage that we have in San Diego. And even with that discussion, there's still a general plan, and there's some control coming from the planning councils in terms of building and what can be done in communities. And we have a rather embarrassing situation here, where there was a provision identified as footnote 7, which allowed, with the proper signatures, to change the building capacity in both Emerald Hills and Encanto because of the southeast community. Most of the communities have like a 20,000 square foot scenario. For Encanto and Emerald Hills, that number was reduced to 5. Now, the planning councils are supposed to represent the community. They're supposed to have input and discussion from communities. What we found out today was that former City Council member Monica Montgomery Stepp and her Chief of Staff, who is now Council member Henry Foster, that both of these people signed off on a waiver without bringing it to the community that allowed this whole development plan to go forward. And so today we had people from the community speaking up, including Ms. Martha Abraham here and Ms. Reels. Both of them have been a part of the Emerald Hill community for many, many years. And first, I want to salute them for coming forth in terms of speaking up at the City Council and putting the flashlight on this. And at first, I understand Foster tried to act like he didn't know about it, but you all do your homework, so you had the document with his signature on it to show that he did know about it. And I understand since then he's gone on social media trying to backpedal. Okay, but I want to say from where I sit with the paper that while this issue is so important in terms of the harm to Emerald Hills and Encanto, I have never had a relationship where former council members Monica Montgomery Stepp or Henry Foster, even now as her surrogate and replacement, have bothered to give notice to the Voice and Viewpoint or seek to inform us to share information with the community. They have bought into the idea at City Hall that everybody's on the internet. And we know, especially from the COVID period, that almost 49% of our community is not. That's why we had problems with kids getting their homework and looking for buses with Wi-Fi and restaurants and the whole bit. So I want to give both of you a few minutes to just convey from your standpoint your frustration and what you went through in terms of it. And I don't remember what the outcome has been so far in terms of today, but please take the time to share with us what you feel and what happened, because we got people listening out there, and this program will be archived beyond tonight, so it'll be available ongoing to anyone who pulls it up.
On our YouTube channel.
Yes.
At the core of this,
And you're going to have to speak loudly into the mic so they can hear you.
the core of this is really about racism. In this, our housing authority, or they have brought laws forward that prevent redlining and prevent overpopulation in one area and too much density in one area. And these rules extend from Torrey Pines all the way down to the border, except, and the rule is that you must build on 20,000 square feet. That you must have that much space so that you are not overpopulating an area, except in Southeast San Diego. In our community, all you need is 5,000 square feet. And so, and then the other thing that we found through digging and scratching, because nobody would tell us, is that as the builder, it is not their responsibility to consider the infrastructure. So the impact of traffic, roads, congestion, the impact of sewage, of having additional these cars and things, that is not their consideration.
Well, those things come under the environmental impact report.
Which was,
Was
in
not-
our case.
Yeah, it was not done.
Right, which was not done.
Okay, and
So
this-
what they did is, and Martha, why don't you take it from here?
Yes.
Because, yes,
So our issue is footnote 7. That is what was input in the zoning law to bypass CEQA, the environmental studies that are required when zoning is changed. So
Right.
they changed the zoning by not changing the zoning. It was hidden and disguised. They did it in a manner that was hidden and disguised, unfortunately. So we wouldn't find it. Thank God we did find it. Rob Campbell was the one that found it. And
he's of the Choice View.
Planning Council.
Planning Council,
yeah,
yes.
he sits on that board. And footnote 7, you know, it's one thing if footnote 7 was for the entire city of San Diego, where it's 20,000 square feet actually means 5,000 square feet in RS 1 to 2 zoned lots. But because it says Encanto and Southeastern, you know, that's very discriminatory, especially because of the history of those neighborhoods. You know, we're historically marginalized, under-resourced, been redlined, housing segregation, and so on and so forth. And so, because that footnote is discriminatory, it actually violates fair housing laws
Exactly.
and the Constitution of the United States of America. And so, we're asking that that footnote is abolished immediately.
And what was the reaction of the city council to this?
Well, prior to, even the person, who was it, the woman who sits on, I can't remember the exact word that she sits on, and she sent a letter saying that it was improper. Do you remember she was there last night at the meeting, do you remember? Oh, okay, well, anyway, so everyone basically has already said that this is improper.
Oh, that was Heidi from the planning
Right,
department.
yeah, it's been improper.
You're right.
It was-
Okay, so here's the key.
Mhm.
The key is found in the fact that in order for footnote 7 to have full effect
Mhm.
and to bypass further scrutiny,
Mhm.
it needed the sign off from the representatives for the area. Hence, Monica Montgomery,
Yes.
Yes.
when she signed off on it, she in effect was saying, I speak for the
The
District
community
4
that I represent,
community,
right.
and it's okay.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out why Henry signed with her, because he
that
was
was
just her
Their
chief of staff at the
but he
time.
was one of the signatures. But even more alarming is that for the past, 2-3 years, we have been, since we kind of heard through the grapevine, because they didn't do any of what they were supposed to is posting signs, contacting something like the Voice and Viewpoint,
Right.
and putting it publicly out to notify the community. They didn't do any of that.
No.
So, so we've been scratching, trying to find out how many meetings. We finally got Monica to a meeting, and at that meeting, we were on a Zoom meeting, and she, first of all, she never even looked at it. She never stopped moving papers, and so she never really, it was never a conversation. But she alluded to the fact that it was basically a done deal, that because Todd Gloria, the mayor, was so steeped in his desire for housing, additional housing, that it was just a done deal. And so we had to kind of just,
Roll over and go with
yeah,
it.
and she said, well, maybe you guys can get some amenities or something. Maybe you can try and get some kind of
But
amenities.
she really didn't show any signs of compassion
No, she
or
didn't know, and she
concern.
gave us none. And then the other thing was, what was the
So then the guy, Dan Boyd from D.R. Horton came and had a meeting with us. What he told us, and I asked him specifically, he told us that this is just in the informational stage. We're just in the planning stage.
Right.
So in reality, they had owned that land since, 1997. They had purchased that land in 1997. It had been sitting dormant until I guess they got the right people in office.
Right.
And then they were able to then do this whole footnote 7, which nobody knew what that was. We were seeing it on documents, but it was like, what is that? What is that? What is that? So then finally Rob dug
and found out that this was an amendment.
Well, let me show you two more places that makes this even more important. I'm trying to remember the name of the Havilah, the street where you come out of Market Creek on Euclid and you just go straight across. Okay, you know right
On
there.
Euclid?
Yeah, Market Creek at Euclid, where Starbucks is. Where,
Right.
Where you come out. If you come out at that light and just go straight across,
You're going which way though? Which direction?
you're going east. In other words,
Okay.
'cause
Okay.
otherwise
East
you
on
would be turning up Euclid or down. But if you
Right.
just go straight across, you're going east.
Okay.
When you get middle way down that street,
Right.
you got all of these apartments that have been put up, supposedly senior
Right,
housing,
right.
And there's 4 or 5 of them, and the density is just unbelievable.
By the medical, the
Yes,
medical facility?
yeah, down from
Yes,
there, from the
yes,
medical
yes,
facility,
yes.
down that street.
Absolutely.
So you have all that building.
Right.
You also have on Euclid where you come off of 94.
Right.
You have those apartments
Yes.
that have been built.
Yes.
Those apartments were under discussion for at least the last 10 years.
Yes.
Okay? And an environmental impact report was requested on those apartments. We never saw the impact report. Jacobs got around all of that. And what makes it worse is that not only the buildings on the front, but when you go behind it, you got a whole city that's been built back there. and that's right off Hilltop that's been
Right.
opened up to go straight through.
Right, but we're towards Gompers and all that.
Yep,
Yes.
it goes straight
Yes.
straight through there.
Yes.
And now, in addition to that, you have them putting an island in the middle of the streets to reduce the lanes.
Right.
And on the 47th Street side, where Gompers is, what they've done is they still reduced the lane by extending a parking lane.
Well, and the bike.
And the bike- and the bike
then,
lane.
And then parking spaces
So
in
what
the
we
center.
have here is we protested this over the years because they were going to put a lot of other things in, but all of a sudden Jacobs got everybody in place. They got it done. They bought off people in the community to
Yes.
be a part of it.
Yes.
And they promised them shares of stock.
Yes.
But Jacobs was always going to retain 51%. Now
Yes.
they find out that they were ahead, and now Jacobs wants to get out.
Yes.
And they can't. So that what we're talking about for Emerald Hills is so important because the history of Emerald Hills is, and you all are too young to remember what I'm about to say, but it was one of the places with restricted covenants in terms of
Absolutely
not
was.
allowing black people
Right.
in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And
we
so,
were the first black family there
and you know
in
that
1960.
it was people like John Johnson from the Urban League,
Yes.
and
McFadder.
McFadder, Dr. Kimbrough.
Yeah.
Those are the guys who fought the restricted covenants
Yes.
and opened it up because really San Diego city limit was to stop at the cemetery.
Right.
Okay? And they didn't want black people living beyond the cemetery. In my lifetime here in the past 40 years, I had to fight the redlining when the banks were beginning to come in. And fortunately, with George Stevens, we had the Reinvestment Task Force
Absolutely.
that limited them trying to do the redlining and forced them to make some changes. But these people bought up the land early when it was cheap. And you will remember that where Market Creek sits right now, for years and years, it was an abandoned laundry site.
Yes.
And they came in and just bought it up. And now Jacobs has bought up everything, and they tried to unload it. So there's much more to this footnote 7 because this is the beginning of trying to move in wherever there's a canyon or a space.
Yes, exactly.
And they
you're
wanna
moving
fill it in.
Yes, and they want to fill it in, and that's exactly right.
So what was the feel that you got from the city council doing the testimony and doing y'all speaking up on this? Did any of the council members comment?
Yeah, Joe LaCava did, and he did mention that footnote. We need to get rid of footnote 7. I spoke to another council member Raul later on, and he said that needs to be removed as well. And so we have some support.
But the tricky part is what they're saying is that, but while they look into it
Yeah.
and how it can be undone, that D.R. Horton will continue with the building.
Oh, so now you need to get an injunction to stop the building.
Yeah.
Something.
So-
Yes, absolutely.
And so there are two things. Either you get an injunction or the city can move for an injunction. And now, is there effort to put pressure on the mayor to get involved in this?
Well, the mayor also signed that law, footnote 7.
I know. It's too bad you didn't bring it before the election.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have no idea how hard we have been digging to find out what is going on.
How did it happen? How did this happen?
And this whole thing about posting, signs and what did they say? Well, we didn't do that. We put it in the paper.
They tried to say they put
Put it in the paper.
Which
In the-
paper?
I'm sure it was the Union Tribune.
Of course they didn't, because they didn't put it in our paper.
No.
See, the city, the Union Tribune, got the charter amended back in the 20s to make the Union Tribune the official paper of the city, so that they didn't have to put it any place other than there. The transcript came along, and so what they did was they changed the language in the charter to say newspapers of daily circulation. And what made the transcript so popular was that they provided a workroom with all of the architectural blueprints, so that when notice was given for a project, people could come there and go over the plans and stuff. This was before the internet. Well, the internet made that unnecessary, and so the transcript died from that standpoint. And so the city went to a particular site that they have. I can't think of the name of it, but it's a site that they use that's a part of the city that they just stick everything on, like everybody in the city is on the
It's on that
website,
site,
and
right.
it's not. So I think that, and I want to commit the paper to helping in any way, that we need letters to
Yeah.
the editor. We need protests because our community doesn't do enough of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we need to start keeping this there. We need to put pressure on the mayor and push the line-up city council members that will move to take an action to block it.
Yes.
And so what you do is look beyond Henry Foster, because Henry is not going to be helpful at this point. Henry seems to feel he has arrived, and he where he wants to be, and with this little sweater and his fraternity stuff, he thinks he's back on the campus. And so we need to get involved and give him a wake up call. I don't mind talking about it because I don't care how he feels. Okay, that make no difference to me because the representation that's supposed to come is not coming to the
Well,
community.
and that's the thing.
That's the
That's
issue.
the issue.
Yes.
That
Is
is
that-
really the issue.
And what I said yesterday was like, our council member is our gatekeeper.
Right.
Is a person
And we have
that
been
we have
betrayed.
elected. We've been betrayed and lied to for decades.
Right.
I know.
This
but
has gone
when
on
you-
since George Stevens.
You just, but Latanya, didn't we just have a letter from someone in the community?
Yeah.
Who was talking
About-
about Foster?
Yes, a letter
and,
to
and
the
how
editor.
he was not representing the community.
Yes.
And he's comfortable down there. He just wants to walk around in his bow tie like everything is cool. So anyhow, they don't like for me to talk about people. So
Let's move it on.
The reality is that your concern is the overpopulation of the community.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Because given just in San Diego, okay, so now Emerald Hills, which is really like a little bedroom community, and like I
is.
said, I've been there since 1960. Went to school at Johnson, so I know the community well. Now it is we're impacted by traffic. People are getting off the 94. They're cutting through to get
Yep.
across to Encanto and to Skyline, and so we have that issue. It impacts our school, Johnson, which that's a 2-lane road.
Yeah.
We have children who are trying to cross, cars that are flying through. It's dangerous. You have traffic. Where they're doing these houses, they're looking at putting 130 houses up by the Kogo Towers that is up there, which is really prime real estate. You can see the entire city from there, not to mention all the history that is there archaeologically and everything else. So they're willing to do that. But the impact is you can only get out of there through coming out of 60th.
Yes.
And then you want to go down 60th and you get onto a 2-lane federal where one side goes to 94 West and the other side goes to 94 East.
So the reality is that while they're doing all this building, they have not put the infrastructure in.
No,
there.
and they told us they don't.
and they're not going to put.
They're
the
not
They-
going
infrastructure.
to.
and they
Let
don't
me-
need
Let me
to.
just say this, because I know all these communities very, very well.
Yes.
Owning property in those areas. One of the things that you're basically saying is not only is it impacting through traffic, but it's also impacting through safety and many other reasons why we have to look at why this is not a good plan.
And just environmentally, you're taking away our green space.
Yeah.
So even just air quality, and there are so many underlying issues here.
Okay.
And we have really the thing is that it's so hurtful, is that we have been betrayed
Okay.
by our own.
Okay. And our own is.
Our own are the people that we elected to represent us.
Oh, why y'all being so nice?
Okay, well,
Oh, come on,
try.
you been.
No. The reason why I'm
trying.
saying that is because I think that at this time, we're in an age that there's no more sugarcoating anything. We just
I
have to
agree
put
with
it.
you.
We don't
have
have
to put it
time.
out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Because as we move forward and we push the issue,
Right.
we have to push the issue on. This is what I went and did my research and I saw people signing off, and some people said, well, they were doing it for the housing and
Yeah.
better that. But
Right.
the problem is that our community is not being treated like other
communities.
Exactly.
And that
we're-
exactly.
they're really creating what they would
They're
call
creating a
ghetto.
concrete jungle. That's what they're trying to do.
Yes, and we've said this repeatedly. I started saying this even on Black Men and Women United when we met yesterday. I started talking about the NIMBYism applies to every place except us.
Right.
Not in my own backyard.
Yeah, it's been in our
Okay.
backyard.
and they can't even use the housing thing because the homeless people in our area, the surveys have shown that a large percentage of them do not want to be in shelters. Do not want to be housed. They want to be on the street.
Yeah.
They have resisted being placed.
Right.
And we did a lot here. 15, 20 years ago, the churches opened up. Churches like Bethel AME.
Yes.
They had overnight carts for people, for the homeless to sleep on. They opened up, maybe they even opened up the Martin Luther King Center at Bayview. They were trying to house people.
Right.
Okay, but over a period of time, that got to be beyond management. Age caught up with the leadership and attrition, and the churches changed, and the vision changed, and all those kind of changes took place. But when we talk about Johnson, there was a long, long fight to make sure that when you come off of 94 on Kelton, that you got the appropriate kind of stop signs
Right.
and paint and everything about this is a school zone, and everybody knows you're not supposed to drive fast through there.
Right.
Parents are out there, people who live there, and then you bring in a whole new element
Well-
that has no idea, could care less.
And has no, yes.
Yeah.
And really, we have had instances where people have, right in front of Johnson, have crashed right through the fences of that houses on the
On the other side, yes.
So, I mean, it's real. I mean, this isn't, we're not thinking, well, this could happen. Well, this might, it has happened. It is real.
So what do you want listeners to know? Like, what's your core message that you want everyone to know, if it's next steps or?
Well, really one thing we want them to know, and especially if they're living in these areas, is that once again, we as Black people and people of color are being discriminated against. And unfortunately, our people who look like us assisted this time in that process. And what our core message is that I don't understand the whole thing about how we have to figure out how to unwind this, other than perhaps because D.L. Horton brought the money for brought the property for like $918,000 or that, like close to $1 million. They'd have to figure out how the city, I guess, would have to give that money back, right?
Okay. Let the lawyer and me help you with that.
Okay, thank you, please.
Dr. Warren, before you let the lawyer help you, this is because a specific question was asked, and that is, what is the outcome? Now, Dr. Warren is getting ready to lay out the plan. So I want to say to everybody, class is in session.
Yes.
He's getting ready to lay out the plan. Y'all take notes. Because
That's what I was going to say. Can I
this,
cover up?
yes, this is a movement, right?
Right,
And
right.
so we want to make
So
sure
we
the
need to
movement's
file
go-
an injunction.
Yeah.
That's one thing
Okay.
that needs
So
to be
Dr. Warren,
written.
class
First
is in
step.
session.
Okay. Well, there are a couple of things. One of the things that you can do first and foremost is you can start a GoFundMe page.
Oh,
Okay. For a Encanto Legal Defense Fund. And so then people can come online and make donations. That's number one. Number two, we need to take a look at who are the leading attorneys in San Diego for
For
development
land- yeah,
issues.
land use,
all right?
exactly.
Land use attorneys, okay?
we're on that.
All right. And so the land use attorney piece is important. But separate and apart from the land use attorney piece is there has to be the ability for the city council to step up and put a freeze on this development
Yes.
until these issues get resolved, okay?
Yes.
And so what they call that legally, they can toll the development, they can stop the process. Now, to help the city council with that, the fund that I just mentioned is important because the fund will allow you to retain counsel to go into court and seek an injunction to stop the development as long as this issue is going on. And there are some grounds that can be used. You touched on some of them in terms of federal law, in terms of due process notice. They can't prove that those things were done.
No, they cannot.
The focus needs to be on the land and on the project, stopping the project. I don't know what name they've given the project, but the development has to be stopped. And there are a number of ways that can be done. First of all, the community has to be mobilized. If necessary, you need to be at that site each day with picket signs to block the activity going forward. People got to be willing almost to lay down in front of the bulldozer, if you will, to stop it. We don't want to see it happen. You are not to be concerned with how much money they spent on the land. I remember when they were buying the land like that, it was cheap before Jacobs came. because I know we were trying to buy some land for the Voice and Viewpoint, but we couldn't get anyone to finance us. And most of our churches that were engaging in building, their money did not come from any of the banks in San Diego or in California.
Came from the
Their
building
money,
fund.
their money basically came out of Texas.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because First Bank of Texas was the one loaning money for church development. And it was only when pressure by George Stevens was put on Bayview at one point that Winters was ready to take all the Bayview members to Union Bank and withdraw all the money that they had in the account out of the bank. And that was on a Friday that they were supposed to march on the following Monday. And what happened was Union Bank undermined the whole process by putting out a notice that they were going to make $30 million available for church construction. So when Winters started trying to call the people off, many of the members got mad about it. Some people pulled their money out. They postponed going to on the bank. And the following week, the bank said, well, it's 30 million, but that's going to be statewide and only 3 million is going to be for San Diego.
Oh, wow.
So they got screwed in the process.
Right.
Okay. And so that's why we need to in order to find the land use attorney that you need, you need to look at, and now you got Google. Google search is so helpful. You need to get on Google search and search land use issues in San Diego County. And then you search the litigation of land use issues in San Diego County. And when you do the litigation, you're going to find out who were the lawyers representing people on land use issues in San Diego County. And when you follow further, you'll be able to see which ones prevail, which ones settle. Don't be concerned about the $900,000. They're going to spend more than that trying to get it going. So how far are they on development? Have they broke ground for the project yet?
They haven't broken.
They have not broke ground.
Okay, so that's good. Okay.
So
So
the only thing they've done is the steps is to bring it to the community planning group, and that's the first step that they've met.
Okay.
The next step would be to go to the planning commission and the committee, and then to city council.
okay, so let me ask this question then. Has the planning group voted yet?
Yes, they have.
And they voted in favor?
They did not.
Okay, so that's one plus for you.
One
That's
plus.
good.
So
yeah.
now the planning council historically has been really weak because most people didn't pay attention to it. They got the wrong kind of people sitting on it. And I won't call names, but people made some deals and sold us out. They're still in the community. So you need to mobilize the community to be at the planning council meetings
Yeah.
in large numbers and look at who is on the planning council.
Okay, but I have a question for you.
Sure.
So, okay, so if we're dealing with the kind of people who did this whole behind the back switch footnote situation, buried it, it took us forever to find the original deed
Of
to
course.
who bought the land.
Right.
Because it was so buried so deep in
Yeah.
paperwork. So then why how can we be sure that they wouldn't sidestep the planning commission? Or I mean, it's a local. It's you're talking about Choice View, right?
Yeah, but look, let me just point something out to you
Okay.
because this is important what you just said. You all went the hard way looking for the deed. You could have found it easy. All you had to do was go to one of the title companies, give them the location. They would have pulled up the whole history of the project in terms of who owns it, what liens were on it, and the whole bit. It might have cost you a couple of $100s just to get the full picture. You can get a profile for free. All the title companies in San Diego will give you a profile if you give them the address of a
Okay,
property.
where were you when we needed you?
Right at
But
the
I
Voice
mean,
and
with,
Viewpoint.
with,
That's
with
right.
footnote 7, it was buried.
Huh?
If footnote 7 was buried, it was meant to not be found.
Of course.
Now, did you
Yeah.
have an inkling that it was there? Like,
Yes.
how did you all even
We
get to
knew
that
there was
point?
something-
We
There
knew
has to be
something
something.
was there.
Because
Something
the
wasn't
way they
right.
were all acting,
Right.
Yeah.
there was something that they were not telling us.
Yeah.
But here's
You could tell.
Let me share, if I may, two more things with you which are important. First of all, I spent many years on the Hill drafting legislation. You need to go back to the original document that footnote 7 was placed in. Someone said it came down from Sacramento. When it first hit my ears today from one of my staff people telling me that Sacramento said, Oh, well, that was on our
It was on the
Black
call,
Men and
Black
Women
Men and
call.
Women
That,
United call.
that Sacramento
Yeah.
was the one that overrode and said, and I said to them then, I said, that's not possible. I said, because San Diego is a charter city and San Diego County is a charter county. And so Sacramento cannot come in and override the city council or the mayor on something. They've got to sign off and be approved. So we have to go back and find out what the originating document was that footnote 7 was a part of. Okay? Now, let me just say this to you because, see, people who do these development things, rarely do they run into folks like you. Most of the time, they either buy them off or they wear them down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
they've tried to do both.
Well, yeah, and they try to do those two things. What you have to do is galvanize your community because you have a community that's got some transition going. Okay, you got older people dying off. The children want to sell as quickly as they can and get what they can and run. Okay, the price is up so high they don't care. I've had people that had valuable copies of Voice and Viewpoint in their homes, and the folks died. And before we could even ask them about donating stuff, they just called for the dump truck and hauled everything away. Okay,
But it sounds like you are galvanized.
yeah.
From what I could tell.
But
Yes-
you have to hold
Yesterday.
your people, and your community planning council needs to call for a meeting with your community council needs to call for a meeting with the planning council. Okay, and you need to look at who are the people on the planning council, because obviously they didn't get you all, so they're going to try to buy off the planning council. So
Okay,
you
so
need
when
to-
you're saying the planning council, are you referring to the Choice View? Or are you referring
Choice
to
Valley.
Choice Valley? Or are you referring to the city planning?
I'm talking about Choya's View, where the property is located. Didn't you say
Oh.
they have to sign off on it?
Yes, and they are. I mean, yeah, we are all galvanized. So
Yeah.
we're lockstep on.
together.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
together
Yeah.
on that.
Yes.
Okay, so,
So-
with the two of you, that's a major
Yeah,
achievement
yeah,
right there.
we're all lockstep on that.
Okay,
So one of the things is this is the basis of organizing at this point.
Yes.
You must organize the GoFundMe account.
Yes.
Will actually allow you to have money and allow people to get involved that might not want to votarize, but they'll do it with their money. And then you also need to get that attorney. Once you get the attorney, now the balls have changed because once you file an injunction, it becomes a legal action, and you can pretty much stop everything until they address everything with the legal. So the biggest thing is now is galvanizing, keeping the story. You're in the voice
In
of
the public,
viewpoint.
yes.
Keep it in the public. Your next step should be the news stations.
Yes.
You know, and continue on, and those are the things. And literally also being able to have real conversations, because there are going to be people that are going to call you and say, okay, but I don't want to have it behind closed doors. Let's do it publicly so that everybody could hear, so that there's no buy off or there's no,
Right.
that stuff, unless we're going to go and the deal's going to be
well,
in favor. of
let me back you up
Right.
there, okay? And this might sound self-serving. You got to watch the news stations, okay? The news stations, I hate to say it, but so often they're in the pockets of the system, all right? And so when you start just handing stuff over to them, you lose control over your message
Right.
in terms of how it's presented. But I can tell you this from almost 40 years of the Voice and Viewpoint, that when we start putting stories out there, the station's gonna come anyhow.
They're going. Yeah, I was gonna
Okay.
say they're going. Yeah.
And they're gonna be careful what they run because they know that we're gonna be monitoring them.
Right. Right.
And so you need to know who your friends are in the course of doing this. The GoFundMe page is going to be important, but you need to get an agreement, perhaps, with the council, and you all decide collectively where you're going to put the money when you get it in terms of GoFundMe, number one. The biggest expense you're going to have going in with this is going to be the land use attorney giving you grounds for the injunction. And I believe when it comes to the land use attorneys that you should interview them just like you're looking for a job. They should be able to give you a consultation. And if they say that they can help you do this, then you need them to pull up some examples of where they have prevailed in the past. If they've succeeded in terms of getting this. Now, some attorneys in the community will get involved in something like this pro bono because it
Right.
makes them look good,
Right.
okay? I don't even want to go there in terms of calling. I'll tell you off the air. I'll tell you off the air about what to look out for that. But there are going to be some people coming forth, and I think that you should do a direct campaign with the mayor that you want him and the council, and you need to identify council members that you interview and talk to get them to be supportive. Because if you can get 5 council members to agree with you, then that's enough for a vote to change it. Don't worry about Henry. All you need is 5 other people, okay? And when you can count to 5, it don't matter what the other 4 do, okay? So you want to put pressure on him and on the mayor. You want to highlight how important your community is, the history of your community. Your community
Right.
was one of the first communities that benefited from the lifting of the restricted covenants.
Yes.
And the covenants are still in real estate deeds today. It's just that the Supreme Court outlawed it so they can't do them. But if you pull up some of the properties up there, you're going to still find the language there. It's not gone.
Right.
Okay? And so these are the things that you can do. And your community is important. Emerald Hills is important to people. And there's still enough of us around who remember how important it is. And it's still a community that hasn't been totally sold off. And it's still a community, even though you have new people in it. The new people in it are bought into it because they care about the history,
Right.
the view, and the whole thing. Get the church people concerned. Of
Right.
course, they're going to all holler 501 and we non-political and blah, 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 blah.
Christian Fellowship may not.
Huh?
They might not. I don't Christian Fellowship may not do that. They're political.
Well, what's his name is very political.
Yes,
Now that he's
Reverend
back.
Cribbs.
Cribbs.
Yes,
And
yes.
Cribbs is a former television personality, and he loves to talk, and so he can probably be very helpful.
I'll
You
go
should
visit
even
him.
try to have some of your meetings at the church.
That's right. Yes.
And they got a
absolutely.
lot of lawyers and
Oh,
judges
yes,
that belong
absolutely.
to the church. Okay.
That's my church. We sure do.
Oh, okay. See, I know them. I know all of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
That's my
applaud you.
church.
I applaud you, ladies, for stepping up for the community, and also the Choias Valley Community Planning Group as
Right.
well.
Absolutely.
Andrea, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Etheru? Hetheru?
She is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Do you know how to pronounce her last name?
I don't.
She's phenomenal, and so is Rob. I have to give a shout out to them.
Mm-hmm.
They have been incredible.
Yes, absolutely. So, we are important. Our communities are important, and we deserve to have that protection.
Right.
And we have a voice, and
Well,
we need to use it.
We
And you
deserve to have the
ladies
same protection
Yes.
that every other community has.
Absolutely.
So we're not asking for anything beyond or
Mm-hmm.
extraordinary.
Well,
we just
we
want the
pledge-
same as everyone else.
We pledge the support of the Voice and Viewpoint to support you in terms of
Thank
keeping
you.
the information out there. Be happy to come along to meetings.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm not there. I'm not there to represent anyone legally, and anybody who tries to say that, I will file a complaint against you. I have a right to an opinion as a
Absolutely.
publisher and a person of almost 4 decades in this community, and I consider my role one of a guardianship, and so we want to help. LaTanya is a major point of contact because she keeps trying to make me rest, but we're still working. And so we're going to stay with
I don't
this.
think you're ever going to rest.
No, not till they do that thing, right? Okay. Not till they roll me, but I'm going to stay active. But we need letters to the editor in support from people in the community because folks read letters.
Okay.
Okay, that's why the UT still publishes them. Letters to the editor. And we do put those things online, okay, for those who can't find a newspaper and don't know how to read one. We put it online for them because we have social media following. So we're going to be supportive. I know we took a lot of time with this, Dr. Thompson. We thought it was important.
I think that it's very important, and being that I'm a homeowner in that area too, and we have generations of our family that live in the Emerald Hills area.
Absolutely.
We definitely don't want to see the impact. I know personally about the impact because I take it as a shortcut too sometimes to get over the skyline because
Right.
of all the traffic
Right.
from the 805 freeway and the 94
Right.
freeway. So if those of us that do know that there's a shortcut, what happens when everybody else is starting to follow the traffic and the impact of the neighborhoods and realizing that the drive-through between the curves and everything else that nature people start speeding and going faster and faster, and so we see property damage and everything else. And so at this point, I think that it is Emerald Hills has to be the beacon, the emerald on the hill for the community to say, okay, you're trying to overpopulate this area, thus lowering the property values and everything else, and not making it a place where everyone wants to live,
Right.
but it's a place that we're dumping people.
Right.
And we have to, and that's why this is so important, so that we can stop it, because it's happening all over.
And one of the most important things you can do in this case is, in the mornings, coming down 60th to Federal, if you're at the bottom of that hill, you can see all those cars lined up, waiting to go under the underpass
Right.
to come up on 94.
Right.
And that's going to be even worse of a nightmare.
Absolutely.
Because now those cars are going to extend up the hill.
Right.
They already do.
They already
Yeah,
do.
They
They're-
do, see?
So
That's
imagine
down
if
that
those-
Suicide Hill.
Yeah.
You have cars all the way back there going up toward what is the street? Old Memory. Is it Old Memory?
Yeah.
Yeah, going up that hill. So they
Oh,
already do. It's
I never
insane.
did know the name of it. So it's called Suicide? That's what they
Yeah,
call
Suicide
it?
Hill.
I didn't know that.
Because back in the day, before they put up all the stop signs
Yeah.
and everything else, everybody would go and fly
Oh,
over.
zoom.
Flying
Yeah.
down there. Yeah.
Okay, before they put the stop sign at the top, right?
And at the
Yeah.
bottom.
And
At the bottom and the top.
And the top, yeah. Oh, yeah, because it'll give your stomach a drop. Going. Yeah, okay. Well, we want to thank you for being with us.
Yes.
We want you to be in touch. Get us some letters to the editor. Let us know when you have, I think one of the first things is to have a joint meeting between your neighborhood council and the planning commission, so that you all can look at this, that you can start looking at land use issues in San Diego County.
Okay, I got that
Somebody's
down.
going to have to spend some time in terms of research, and be in touch with us, and we will certainly help in any way that we can. And I'll talk to Pastor Cribbs the first chance I get. Well, you go to church there, you can talk to him.
We can both talk to him.
Oh,
we can
okay.
double team him.
Yeah, he ain't gonna say no. No, Arch wants life to be comfortable. He's not
Yeah.
gonna be difficult. Okay, he's glad to be back.
Yes, he is.
He's not glad. He's happy to be
And,
back.
and we are happy to have him.
There you go. Yes, all right. He and I go back to his first venture here, yeah, he comes out of San Francisco media and L.A. So yeah, you got a good connection of people. Got some judges I know that go there, and a whole bunch of people. I ain't gonna call their names on the air, but you got enough
I
people
see
there.
you.
You got enough people there to galvanize, okay? And we give voice and viewpoints to them every week, so they can't say they don't read. Okay,
I'm on it.
Yeah.
I feel I'm so happy that we did this.
Yes.
You've really just kind of, I think, given us both a lot to think about, but just a lot of encouragement and just that
Oh,
sense of
yeah.
urgency. And I really appreciate it, because we have really
It's
just,
been a long fight.
oh my God, it's been like fighting the giant with the, what was it, the slingshot? You know, I mean, it's,
Well, I have dealt with these issues for over 50 years,
Right.
50,
right.
okay, and across this country, and you can win. That's the message is you can win.
Yeah.
Okay, it's possible.
And one of the things about it is to simply, when people say personal, is this a personal attack? This. No, we're taking it very personal because it's personally impacting our community
Thank you.
and impacting our city. So yes, it's very personal. But again,
Absolutely,
it
it's
is much
personal.
as much personal as it is business. And the biggest thing that we lack many times is we don't handle the business and go the foresight to keep pushing.
Right.
And so now the encouragement is don't drop the ball because it's going to get a little bit harder or people are going to start talking. It is really about focusing on what is the main issue. And this is the issue that will affect us for generations to come.
Right.
And then we will be circled back around when kids get hurt or this happens saying, well, what happened? That's because we didn't open our mouth. So I'm encouraging everybody, open your mouth, get behind this planning group and this team of people, this movement. And also, if you say that you're not in Emerald Hills and it doesn't affect you, it will affect you because it's affecting our community. So write a check. Go to the GoFundMe. Once they put it up, we will support.
And we
put the
will
word
and
out.
we will put notice
Yeah.
of the GoFundMe. We'll put it both in the paper and on the internet, and make people aware of the GoFundMe site.
Okay.
And folks can go and they'll give money. They can be supportive. They raise money for all kinds of crazy stuff, so they ought to be willing to contribute to something worthwhile. We thank you for coming in. We got to do about 10 more minutes of
Yeah,
stuff here.
you all can stay and sit in
Yeah.
while we go to the next.
You can.
Yeah.
I want to talk about our upcoming Biscuit, Grits, and Politics for next Tuesday morning at the Voice and Viewpoint office. It's going to be from 7 to 8:30. It's $20 a plate. We're going to have catfish, grits, scrambled eggs, biscuits, coffee, and tea. We're encouraging you to go to Eventbrite,
Correct.
where you can sign up because we need to know by Friday how many people we have coming in. And the grits are going to be warm and soft, and the biscuits are going to be hot and buttery, if you will, the way you want it. And there's going to be catfish. And if you really don't like catfish, it'll be more for the rest of us, and we'll give you a fruit plate. Okay? But $20 is all it costs. You spend more than that buying a couple of cases of soda at the Food for Less. So it's a chance to come out and get involved. We got a couple of topics we're going to do next week. One is going to be black businesses making money in public policy. And the second one is going to be kind of a discussion of the after effects of last week's election. And I would encourage you to read my editorial this week. What's the title of it? I forgot already, and I just wrote it
What is the
today.
title? Yes, let me look.
Okay, I did an editorial about what we can. Well, she'll tell you the title. You know, once I write, I can't remember it.
It was
Okay,
very
back
good.
to the biscuits,
Very good.
grits, and politics.
Yeah.
So what is the date on that?
Tuesday the 19th.
Okay.
This
So
coming
next
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yes,
Next Tuesday.
this coming Tuesday.
Okay, and you need to order your plate by.
You
by
need
your
to
ticket?
sign. You can either sign up on Eventbrite,
Right.
which is on the internet.
By the
or-
18th,
Yeah,
By the 18th.
Yeah,
Okay,
by the
got it.
18th.
next Monday.
Okay, got
And
it.
then, if you, like so many of us might be computer challenged, you can always drop by the office
Mm-hmm.
and they'll put your name on the list and give you $20, and then you'll be ready to come in and eat. Okay. You like catfish?
I love catfish.
Okay.
Well,
And
one of
nice warm grits. Okay. So those are the things that we're doing next week.
And one of the things about Biscuits, Grits, and Politics is it is an opportunity, like we did tonight, to ask questions, to be a part of it, but also bring forth issues. And for people that are trying to build their businesses in San Diego, as well as, just want to have an opportunity to release. Dr. Warren, after this past election, people just need a hug. And sometimes they come together and
They can get a hug at
and-
Biscuit Grits.
Yeah, and let them know that it's going to be okay, and we're going to be able to navigate through the 4 years, and all the other things. But Biscuits, Grits, and Politics is an amazing place to be because it is creative ideas as well as a teaching opportunity.
And it's a safe space.
Yeah.
A safe space to share and discuss, get real, and talk about what matters to us. Absolutely.
Well, I want to add two things. We just had a watch party last Tuesday night at Voice and Viewpoint, and according to our social media analysts, we had over 1,400 people.
For yes, the
Yeah,
watch. Well,
for the
yes,
watch
for the watch
party,
party.
yeah.
Well, on Instagram, we had
Yeah,
a
on
post
Instagram,
on
and we had a great
Instagram
time
about
there.
that.
We had salt and pepper chicken wings,
Ooh.
and veggie egg rolls, and potato salad.
Oh my, the foods I like.
Yeah, you like to eat? Yeah, I'm still eating chicken wings. Yeah, so we had that. But let me say, in terms of the Biscuit, Grits, and Politics, the reason I'm doing the business, my late wife and I were the ones who created the first Black Chamber here. And we also help people organize Black Chambers in a number of cities around the country. And so we first brought people together to give them business opportunities. And I want to reshare with them some of the things that we did that make a difference. We organized it around our kitchen table, and I gave my services for free. But one of the reasons we did it was my wife had been executive vice president of the D.C. Chamber of Commerce. And at the same time that she was in that position, I was in my senior year of law school, and I went back and volunteered my services to the Small Business Development Center at Howard University School of Business and Public Administration. And I did that because as an undergraduate, I had been one of the people that created the Department of Business, which is now the School of Business. And so we share that information locally to help people get contracts, how your business should be set up, what you should do, how you go about it, and there's no cost. It's free. So, and we're networking because we want to profile our community and our paper. We're still a trusted messenger. and we want to bring our people together. And yes, we're on the internet, but you know the internet will fade away, but print will stay there. Okay, and so we got things coming up. For instance, next weekend, Dr. Thompson, we have turkey giveaways.
Yeah.
Okay, next Saturday.
Yes. yes.
Is it? Yeah, next Saturday.
Yeah, there's several going around. We'll get the
Yeah.
different locations because I know that there are a lot of different places from Pilgrim Progressive Baptist Church,
Right.
With Ray Smith. I know that the senator,
Hillcrest, yeah.
the senator is going to be giving away Kilo Weber. I think over 1,000.
Yeah, about
turkeys.
1,700 turkeys. They're going to be giving away dressings and the whole thing. And, you know, I want to say to our community, of all the years I've been doing those things for Thanksgiving and Christmas, for some reason, the black community does not come out and participate. I don't know if we all prideful or whatever it is, but other people be there. I mean, they organize, boy. They be there getting as many birds as they can and they're just passing the stuff around, and we don't want to be there. So we got to wake up and take advantage, too.
And also, we know some people that can be in great need but cannot make it there. You can go and stand in the line for them and then take them the turkey. There's so many ways that we can be a part of giving, and we just have to get past our own personal pride and everything like that. We're both Dr. Warren and the team, we're always on the giving end. You know what I'm saying? But there were times when we were building businesses that we needed a turkey, and somebody said, "Hey, I got a turkey." We'll say, "We'll take that turkey."
That's right.
We were so thankful.
That's right.
It was economically smart to
I
take
know.
that turkey.
And I had to be reminded sometimes I was giving them away and then I had to go buy one.
Yeah.
Okay? But I didn't mind because we were helping people.
Yeah. So, Dr. Warren, I just want to say this last piece is that there are a lot of scams that are going out right now and a lot of negative texts that are going out that are impacting people greatly. There's a new text that has come out that says Donald Trump has been arrested. Do not open that text. That will immediately attack your bank accounts when you open up the text. So now we're going to have to even be very careful about what texts we're opening.
Right.
Because there's all these scams that are coming out, and they will have provocative sayings because they want you to open it up. You know what I'm saying? So just be very mindful of what texts you're receiving, the phone calls you're answering, and there's going to be people out there that are going to say, put all kind of things in texts.
Yeah, one of them said, all black people, please report to the nearest plantation
Plantation.
so you can
Get
get your
cotton.
cotton assignment, right?
Yes, and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured that since we were reporting in, that was part of reparations, and we were going to be able to pick our parcel, our 40 acres, and ask for the mule
And the
at
mule.
the same time.
Oh, no, the
And
mule's
so,
been killed.
You know, so we don't put us back on the plantation because this time we will take it and apply it to the Reparations Act. Any
All
final
right.
words, Dr. Warren?
Well, I also, the editorial, I never did get the title
What
to it.
we
but
should think and do in the Trump era.
Yes, thank you. What we should think and do
Excellent.
in the Trump era. And I encourage people not to overreact in a panic way with the Trump decisions that are being made. Matter of fact, we just had a Family Foundation Zoom call where I had to share with our board that we need to look very carefully. This is a time to learn more about how government works so we will know what safeguards that we have. And not everybody who voted for Trump is going to support him on everything that he wants to do. I think he's going to mellow out a great deal. We saw signs of that today with him at the White House with President Biden. He was almost apologetic in his comments about politics is rough,
Yeah.
and he's embarrassed by the transition that's taking place. But he's still putting crazy people up
That's what I was going to
for
say.
positions,
Yeah.
and I think that they are going to have a day of reckoning because people before them have tried to do what he thinks they're going to do, and I don't believe the American people, especially the Senate, there's a reason that only 1/3 of the Senate is up for election at a time. So this year there was just 32 senators up because they represent the guardrail. And to put somebody in as Secretary of Defense who's talking about firing generals because he doesn't like them being diversity, equity, inclusion is to strip this country of a tremendous safeguard. And it's embarrassing to have someone like that follow Lord Austin retired four-star general,
Absolutely.
combat trained in service, who has been a tremendous contribution. And so that's why we have to stay alert. And I also point out we need to pay attention, because whenever we have that kind of attitude in the North, it filters down to communities. Don't let people get away with insulting you and talking down to you and trying to rob you and take things. We need to be ready to push back when they come in the wrong way. And we need to be more inclusive and collective in terms. I can't stand in the store and watch you be attacked and not say something.
Right.
So we need to get involved, okay? Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Thank
Well-
you, Ms. West, for being here. This is the brains of the operation. I'm just a mouthpiece.
With that being
Okay.
said, this is from the desk of the editor with Dr. John Warren. We thank our guests for coming in. We thank our managing editor. Next week, Biscuits, Grits, and Politics on Tuesday. Doors are open up at 6:45. Am I right?
Doors
Yes.
open at 6:30. I'm
Oh,
gonna be
sorry.
in line at quarter
All right.
7.
All right. Doors open at 6:30. We're asking everybody to come out, be a part of it. Go to Eventbrite. If you have any questions, please call the Voice and Viewpoint, and stay tuned to GODRadio1.com.